Well, obviously tough game on Saturday, and a lot of it, 3/4 of it was some really good football our guys played, and you're really proud of them for how hard they played and really put good tape. Played well on tape. And then there's a handful of things, that you just love to have back, and that's the game, though. That's why we're still, work in progress. And but I think a lot of learning goes on, and that's what we love about our guys. I mean, they're in, they care, they're fighting hard. We just got to keep growing them, keep getting experience. No substitute for that. I mean, in some ways, we're almost trying too hard there at the end and missing some tackles, and sometimes that happens when that anxiety goes up. I also really appreciate our fans. When we went out there, I didn't think anybody would be in the stadium, and there was a nice crew that stayed, and they were loud as heck. I mean, I was really surprised how loud those that stayed were, and that was awesome. Different experience, I guess, for everybody. So I really, really appreciate, the fans that showed up. That was going to be one heck of a crowd. And then when the Lightning came and left, those that stayed were even more impressive. So we really appreciate you guys.
What did you guys do during the delay? How do you?
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to figure out if we were going to play. Is really what we were doing, because we were kind of looking at the weather and how long this was going to take. And I think we were getting close to, I think both sides were getting very close to calling it off if we couldn't get that thing started by about 10:30ish. We kept talking about 11 o'clock. That was going to be too late for the guys. And so, but the guys just kind of hung in there and just waiting for us to tell them what to do.
Did you talk to Wilcox at all during that delay, or is that strictly?
I did. We did. Yeah. It was kind of like, trying to figure out what we were thinking, and it was kind of got on the same page, and I think we kind of both felt the same.
What were the contingency plans, and if you did have to call it off?
Well, that was why we really wanted to play, because it wasn't going to be good for either one of us had we not played the game, in terms of the long run and, the big picture of, bowl games or whatever, just less games played. And so we all really wanted to play.
You said it wasn't an excuse, but did it change the dynamics of the game at all when
Well, I think certainly, but both sides had to deal with it, right? So that's kind of what I mean. I mean, it's all equal footing. I mean, we're all hanging out waiting for it. And I was really proud of the guys. I mean, once we started playing, it didn't feel any different to me, and I didn't feel any different energy on the sideline or anything like that. And so, I mean, once we went, we went. I think everybody just focused back in. Yeah.
Did the tackling issues show up on tape the same way you thought?
Yeah, a little bit what I was just talking about. It's almost like, just a little bit almost of that trying too hard thing, Sometimes guys are trying so hard they get out of a gap, and now that creates a bunch of space. And now the guy that's coming knows there's a bunch of space, and now he's, rather than fitting off each other and wrapping up, we didn't wrap up quite as well as we have when we had tackling issues. Like I said, there was some really good football on tape, but when we had issues, it was some of that type of stuff. And I think when you see guys breaking tackles out there, I mean, it's going to be a wrap-up tackling type issue. And so, you got to go through some hard things sometimes to learn from it.
Chris, on Jacob's interception going to Hunter,
yeah.
Are you okay with him throwing that ball where it was placed, and how do you assess Hunter?
No, I think he, that one probably should have came off that, because the way Hunter took his release probably should take him off that throw. But, Hunter makes a lot of plays. And so, like we always say, it's easy to sit here in the film room and second guess that when he's got one-on-one coverage, and that guy's a big body that can make plays. But yeah, analyzing again, I think a do-over. He probably doesn't want that throw. And our defense played good. They didn't get any points out of when we turned that ball over, but it is a few plays that, we had decent field position, those type of things.
Did you kick yourself at all after the game for any of the clock situation in the end zone when Cal got to the 4?
What are you talking about?
I think they go to the 4 at 1:16.
Okay.
Clock runs to 44 seconds. Did you even look back thinking that?
What are you talking about specifically? That's not the issue, because already the issue is, and someone brought it up, did you let them score? That's what I think the issue is. We're talking about seconds with no timeout. You're going to have no timeouts. And to drive the length of the field backed up like that, in my opinion, and looking at all the analytics, that's not the issue.
Was the conversation to let them score? Was that talked about?
That's always the one. So they're right down there. And if you do, then you got some timeouts and you can go the other way and have a chance to battle, because the field goal situation is looking pretty good. But, I knew our guys were going to, push hard on the field goal, and they did run the ball. They were smart on their clock management. They did run it one time, and, you're trying to get the ball out there. We got a lot of hats on it, but the chances of fumbling there are, pretty small odds. But I think that's the conversation, not like, are you going to take another timeout with, because I'm not sure what you're talking about. There was some time that ran off the clock when he lined up to kick the field goal that I wanted him to get into a stance, but the time was we're talking a handful of seconds, and, that's not going to, in my opinion, really influence the game. I think the big decision is do you let him score?
If you face a similar situation in the future, would you give more consideration to letting him score?
Well, there's always consideration. We're still figuring that one out, like where we really want to be, because it kind of goes. You don't see that much, but I think that's something you do really got to look at and consider.
Just to clarify, were you saying that you think that you should have let them score in that situation?
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm saying it's something we're analyzing. I think a lot of people might say that. Some others would say no. It depends on their kicker, your situation, all those type of things.
Can you talk about the play of Peyton Henry this season?
Yeah. Well, he was money on Saturday for sure. That was a big time kick without question. And one of the things I said after the game was, we kicked a lot of field goals, and maybe that's on me for not going for it more. That's another situation is like, well, maybe you need to take some more chances going for it. Everybody, conventional wisdom, says, yeah, take the points, and you feel everybody's good, and then you lose the game. It's like, well, why didn't you take the points? But again, you look at a lot of this analytic stuff, they're going to tell you to go for it a lot more than they're going to tell you to kick field goals. So really, again, to me, if we're talking about some of that stuff, it's like Peyton did a great job, and we asked him to, and maybe there's a time or two we should have gone for it more.
Was 4th and 6 one of those after the...
What's that?
Was 4th and 6 one of those after the...
Early in the game, our first...
false start?
That could have been one of them. Yep. Yeah, there's a couple of them. Peyton answered on those field goals, and then we went for it 4 other times on 4th down, I think it was. And the guys, I think we got 3 out of 4, I think it was. So, so we're paying close attention to that as the game goes on at all times, and we're trying to be a couple downs ahead on all those type of things, and the situation changes rapidly, and
Speaking of Peyton, it's probably one of a lot of things on your mind after the game. I don't even know if it was on your mind, but this was a chance for him to have one of the great clutch moments, and it still was, but
Yeah.
it's probably going to be one of those things that won't be remembered because
Yeah.
of the loss. Do you feel for him at all in that situation, knowing what
No, I don't feel for him. I feel for our team. I really do. I'm really proud of him and happy that he made that kick. That was awesome. I hope it builds his confidence. I've said it last year. I think he can be a really good field goal kicker. He just, it's like all of us. We just need to be more consistent. And he's made progress, and he's been really consistent so far in the games. And I think that's one of the things that he's working hard on.
What did you see looking at the drop passes? Was there any common thread there?
Not a common thread. There wasn't a common thread. That was that was frustrating. That was frustrating to that room, without question. And you just got to go back, and I think it has to do with how we practice and drill work, and the games are different in terms of going for that ball and maybe knowing you're going to get hit, and the intensity that even in ball drills when there's no defenders around that you're catching and bursting up field, and just the carryover from during the week to Saturday night. I think that's a really easy place to not have the carryover in terms of catching, because now all of a sudden I'm looking to run, there's defenders around me. And so, again, I think that's another area we'll be better.
You mentioned after the game that Jacob just has such a strong arm. On some of those passes, did he need to take a little bit off of his fastball, or did you look at that at all?
Yeah, I think there was one. That kind of showed up that might have been maybe counted as a drop and a crossing route that probably wasn't more so than taking some steam off it, maybe just a little more accurate, and we might make that play. But the combination of the two, but he's got to pull the trigger and throw it. Sometimes there are certain passes and certain guys you're throwing to, running backs, those type of things that you need to be aware of those things. But and I think he is. I think we had one drop by a back that was a good ball. We got to catch it. We just got to finish the drill.
Was there any, I know you talked about last year at Cal, talking about pushing some buttons, and I know you didn't have Miles or Hunter, but you were talking about trying to find answers with certain guys and giving guys opportunities to make plays. Did that ever come in when some of these other guys were dropping the passes or weren't making plays, and bringing in some of the younger receivers?
No. I mean, we see these guys every single day, and the guys that are playing deserve to be out there and playing. The other guys are making strides, and we'd like to get them into the game more, but we're always going to put who we feel really gives us the best chance. And it's not like we see, like I said, we see these guys every day, and we see what they put on tape every single day. And is there a point where, hey, yeah, if we're not making, if it's one guy that's really struggling and there's a guy behind him, you're going to, yeah. And we're going to continue to try to build depth in all of our young guys, whatever the position is. We feel strongly about that. But, we weren't thinking about we got to get these guys out and put all the young guys in. I mean, that wasn't a conversation.
Chris, what did you make of your run defense, especially in the first two drives of the third quarter?
Yeah, that was the time, it was really good a lot of time. And then coming out in that third quarter, it was not. It was like two drives. And we looked at that and tried to figure out why it wasn't. But that's what I'm talking about, like 3/4 of it across the board was a lot of good football. And then all of a sudden it's like, what are we doing? And we kind of tighten up and play good ball again. And then, for the most part, played pretty good, except for those two coming out at half.
I feel like you're still trying to figure out that rotation at linebacker and kind of what works there. We saw a lot of Magada, Sermon, obviously Manu out there a bunch.
I think we're going to play all those guys, and it's not a matter of figuring out the rotate. It's you guys trying to talk about some of the young guys, and that's a position that we do want to play guys, and certainly at that position, that physical position, and those guys are on special teams, so we need to play a lot of guys, and they put it on tape in practice, and so we'll keep pushing the envelope there.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, but it's not the linebacker. It's not any just one position. We want to talk about the DBs. I mean, we need to put pressure on that quarterback. It all fits together.
The PI call on Kyler on the north sideline on that last drive for Cal. When you went back and watched the tape, what'd you?
I mean, half the time it's always like, they call that, or why didn't they call that? I mean, it is what it is. It always just comes back to how do we play it cleaner and better, so we don't have to put ourselves in that situation. We're not like the NFL. We don't get to throw the flag and review pass interferences.
You like to throw the flag on PI?
I'd like to throw the flag a lot of times. I don't know. I don't even know if I saw it during the game, to tell you the truth. Had a good angle at it. So
Their last big completion, they got him down to the red line, how would you have liked the DBs to play that differently?
Yeah, just fit off each other. We were over aggressive and kind of ran by it, and he cut it back inside and made a really good play.
We haven't seen Quinn Pounds the first 2 games. Is he available?
He is not available for the next 2 games. He's been suspended. First game he was available, but wasn't ready to go, and he won't be playing for the next couple games.
How about Trey Lowe? How's he doing?
He's getting better. He's with us. He's getting better, making progress. Very strange, situation health-wise, but he's getting better.
Ty Jones?
Yeah, Ty's with us week to week. That's what he is. I don't know who's saying he's different than that. I always tell you guys, if he's going to be out for the season, we'll report that.
You referenced a couple of times analytics. Is that something that you've come around to? Has it affected your thinking on play, on any aspect of football?
I would hope so. I mean, that's the world we're living in, and so we do pay attention to it. Yeah, we try to, study the game, and I think a lot of it goes against old conventional wisdom, kind of referencing a little bit, maybe going forward a little bit more, and everybody's always take the point. And so we're still working through some of that.
Is it maybe the hardest part of bringing in some new guys and some of the younger players, just getting them playing time, is them playing too hard maybe? I mean, effort is one thing, but, trying to make a play where instead of just worrying about their responsibility.
Right. Yeah, just doing your job, which we always talk about. But, it's not just young guys, but we have a lot of young guys out there, so it seems to show up there. But, even some guys that have been out there for quite a while, it's trying to make a play and sometimes you can run by it. I mean, we had a couple guys make some really good plays because they're so aggressive, and then it can show up where, you use your aggressiveness, kind of works against you.
Does that also work against them maybe a little bit defensively in the idea of trying to get turnovers? Because I know you guys pride yourselves on getting the ball back.
It doesn't have anything necessarily to do with just the turnover aspect. It's just playing hard and, doing your job and fitting correctly off each other and just that idea of being really aggressive and running to the ball. And, good athletes can make you miss. You can over pursue and they feel it and cut right back on you, which happened.
Von broke 20 carries for the first time in his career. What did you see out of him taking that leading?
Yeah, I think he's making progress, no question. Did a nice job and put his pads down and kind of finished some runs. So that was good to see.
With Hawaii on Saturday, what makes them so effective in the passing game?
Yeah. I think we got a really good team coming in here because it's completely unique. And that's one thing is you don't see this. They're back to the run and shoot, which you don't see a lot. You say the same thing, what they're doing over in Pullman with the air raid. You see a little more of that these days, but we don't. I mean, SC's doing it a little bit, but you don't see what they're doing out there, and they're good at it. Rolo's gotten back to his roots, and they're good. The quarterback's good. He's got a great sense of timing. We've watched them a bunch now on tape, and they're legitimately good. They got really good receivers that catch the ball really well, and that offense makes you right in terms of you play this coverage, we're doing this, and they adjust on the fly, and then you sprinkle in the run game that they have that is really effective. That's why they're scoring a lot of points.
How difficult is it to also have to maybe plan for 2 different quarterbacks?
They're going to run that system. I think, if another quarterback comes in and it's a completely different offense, that's something, but it's not a completely different offense,
Didn't seem like there were a lot of, maybe I just misinterpreted that, like a lot of shots downfield.
Well, a little bit of that is coverage dictated, it really is. And there was a couple times that we were trying to get it downfield and coverage wouldn't let us go down there. And, one of them was to Hunter, that we were trying to kind of push the ball downfield. We did throw it. And so, yeah, sometimes against good defenses, you got to keep picking and choosing your spots. We'd love to launch it downfield a bunch of times, but you got to keep picking and choosing.
Start on Luciano down towards the end zone. I assume after that there was no thought at all about going.
Well, there's always thought. It's exactly what we're talking about. There's always thought, you know. So, yeah.
I think Jacob played overall.
Yeah, I thought he played well, and I think he's going to continue to grow in the system. That's what I think. You know, I think he's still, you know, getting used to some things and all those type of things. But you put the tape on and kind of see what he was looking at, and you know, it makes sense. But I thought he did a good job.
More difficult after a delay like that, you think, for a quarterback than other positions?
It's hard for me to know on that. I don't know.
The PI on Kyler.
No, you mentioned it.
So somebody else. How do you continue to, you know, a young player like that, just
Yeah.
keep him confident when he's
Yeah.
had a couple defensive holdings and
Yeah.
plays like that?
Yeah, so we work hard on that, and we do some things in practice. You know, when guys are grabbing too much, I mean, we really work on that. And he, you know, that's one of the hardest positions in all of football. There's no question about it, that corner position. You know, all the space and the space that college football teams create these days. And so, you know, he'll keep growing. There's no question about it. He's a good player, and it's going to continue to get better.
Is Laiatu one of those young guys who's, you know, impressed you so far and maybe making a push for more playing time?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's impressed us from day one. Just kind of his whole mentality. You know, how he works, then how he competes. You know, he's got a good vibe to him for a young guy.